Hello there, everybody. It is I, Tony, aka TTBurger 88, and welcome to a very special video here. This is going to be a TTBurger discussion here, and joining me for this special discussion is
James Farina.
Hello, James, and today you all know what today is, 9/11. And of course, this is the 16-year anniversary of 9/11, and this is gonna be a thing every year where I make a video on 9/11 with somebody like explaining about how I first found out about what happened that fateful day. And I'll start off first by explaining how I learned all about what happened that day on September 11th, 2001. I was in 7th grade. I was 12 years old. And it was our usual Tuesday school day. We got up, went down for breakfast, and we always had the news on. My dad would always turn the news on, and I saw there was a fire, and I go, and I say to my dad and brother, "Uh-oh, fire!" And my dad goes, "Hey, that's in downtown New York." And I said, "What building is that?" And he said, "That's one of the Twin Towers, World Trade Center." And my mom comes down a little bit later. And she says, "Good morning, Dad." My dad says, "The World Trade Center's on fire," and we didn't know. And my dad noticed there was this big hole in the building. And then we were hearing reports later that they heard that there was a plane that crashed into the building, but he didn't really want to assume that stuff. And my dad went up to go take a shower, and my brother and I were still watching it. And while we were watching it, we saw another plane explode and stuff, and we thought that a plane ran into the North Tower again, and we ran up and told my dad, "Hey, 2 planes hit the building." He goes, "2?" And then we go down and we see that the other tower was on fire. And I didn't really know much about the World Trade Centers at the time, because I didn't really hear much about New York, because where I live, Indiana, you don't really hear much about New York. And then we realized that something was going on here. This wasn't a normal fire or normal plane crash. We knew this was a terrorist attack. And then President George Bush at the time, and I remember this little live video, George Bush explaining that they were going to go to Washington a little bit, and he said 2 planes had crashed into the World Trade Center, and he looked upset, and yeah, he looked upset. And it's just sad that something's wrong when the President of the United States is upset. And when we were driving to school, we were hearing more bad news. We learned that we thought it was just an army jet or something like that. Everyone thought that, but then reports came in that the first plane that hit the World Trade Center was an American Airlines. And my dad was like, "That means people were on the plane." And I was like, "That can't be true." I was saying to myself, but because you're in denial, because it's like something you see in the movies and stuff. But reality is that it was real. And then we learned, and then it took me a while to find out what plane hit the second tower. I can't remember how many. After I found out it was United Airlines. And I remember the American Airlines was Flight 11 and United Airlines was Flight 93. And everybody was it was kind of a different school day. I know people knew what was going on. My class knew what was going on, but I think we all were just trying to not assume it was a big deal. Because you're young, you always thinking for a happy ending, but reality, you don't. That the happy ending didn't really always come true, and we didn't really hear much of what happened in New York, because we had our normal school, but. It was indoor, but recess was indoor recess because of the news report, and I wasn't sure what happened, and then I saw smoke, and I asked somebody, "Where's the World Trade Center at?" And he went, "It's gone. It collapsed." Both of them? Yes, both of them. First the second one collapsed, and then the first one. And I was like, no, I thought they were going to be able to save it. I literally thought they were going to be able to save it, as I thought to myself. And I didn't know how many people were killed. I didn't know how many people survived. But it was heartbreaking to hear that half the firefighters who didn't return from the World Trade Centers. It was, but then I later learned that there were two more incidents where a plane ran into the Pentagon and another plane crashed into a forest where they presumed they were going to go to Washington and attack the Capitol building. And it was a very it was a very different day in a bad way. I remember like every day you would come home, do your homework, and then you'd go watch TV. And we didn't really have any homework that day, which was kind of a coincidence because it was 9/11. Because it was a bad day in the United States, and I was learning a lot about this stuff. Half the planes did not return from airports. A lot of places like Disney World was closed. Coca-Cola headquarters in Atlanta was closed. A lot of things were closed that day. Because of what happened. Stuff in Las Vegas were closed. So we were all worried about what was going to happen next. And even TV was different too. Channels like MTV and VH1 canceled all of their scheduled programming to bring us live CBS News. Nickelodeon didn't do that because like Nickelodeon was mainly a channel for kids, so they knew kids wouldn't understand that, so they like premiered a special edition episode of Nick News with Linda Ellerby about the Twin Towers and stuff like that. But of course, like this thing did not give us much information because there was just a bunch of kids and such. But I just remember like excuse me, I just remember it was just a scary thing. I mean, like, even though we assumed we realized we weren't in any danger, we still were scared because you didn't know what could happen. You really didn't know, and it was just really hard. And I know like the end of the week on the Friday we had a special, because I went to a Catholic school. We had a special because we would go to church every Friday for an all-school mass. It was kind of a special one. It was kind of a special day of all-school mass because it was about all the victims of 9/11. And a year later, we did another prayer service like that too. So every year, most schools would still do prayer service and stuff for 9/11. And you don't think anything like this could happen. You always think for a happy ending. And it was really scary to see what was left of the building. It was like the fire burned for about 90 days, so it was so hot. And like a little over a year later, my family and I went to Ground Zero in New York, and we saw what Ground Zero looked like, and we took a picture of it, and we took a picture of the cross over there too. And it was let's say that in my mind it was a sad sight. But they were building something. They were going to be building a memorial thing for all the victims. So it was nice that there was something going to be built there. And every year 9/11 passes, you always think of what's going to happen. But every day, when 9/11 goes by, you're thankful that nothing happens and you're still alive. Even though there's a chance something may happen, a different disaster may happen, you're thankful that when 9/11 passes, it's a sad day, but then it's a done day. Now it's time for me to hand the microphone to James here and have him tell me his thoughts on 9/11 and everything.
Thanks. I really don't remember that much about 9/11. All I can remember is just my mom crying a lot. Everybody was in panic, and I was really young at the time. I was like 2 years old when this happened, so I don't have that much memory of it.
Yeah, but
I didn't learn about what?
Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't remember how I introduced it in school, but the way I was to show respect was to always pay a moment of silence every day for 12 years before 9/11.
Yeah, and like, I even like, the thing is that like I was really like concerned about like what happened. But I remember like buying books on the Twin Towers and stuff like that because I felt bad for all the people who died, and just that I felt bad because like it's the tallest buildings in New York were no more. And I remember my parents got me this book for Christmas on the World Trade Center because one of the reasons was I was doing a PowerPoint presentation on it for school because I wanted to pick a topic, and I wanted to pick a serious topic that, because like I didn't want to do anything funny or anything. I wanted to do something serious because like I felt like 9/11 wasn't touched much at the time, because that's how concerning it was to me. I mean, I have a snow globe with the Twin Towers, and like a mug and a model that my dad got me for my birthday, along with the Statue of Liberty one we got for Christmas. And I just remember like it was pretty much a devastating thing for all of us, because like I didn't think they were gonna collapse. I thought that because like a lot of people thought they weren't gonna collapse because like they were made of metal and like steel and stuff like that, where they were like, you felt like, oh, they're strong buildings, they'll be able to survive. And it's like, I mean, like, because like you always assume, you always think the best case scenario that you have like 300 some firefighters and stuff like that, like over 300 firefighters and stuff that go in there and such, and you think that they will be able to do it, but unfortunately, it was harder than it was. I mean, I know you don't remember much of it because you were 2 years old at the time, but if you were a teenager like me, you would have felt the same way. And there were a total of there were about almost 3,000 people who were killed, but the exact number is 2,996 people were killed, and more than 6,000 others were wounded. And some, like, the median deaths, there were 265 deaths on the planes, including the 19 terrorists, and 2,606 in the World Trade Center in the surrounding area, and 125 in the Pentagon. And it was definitely considered the deadliest terror attack in not only American history, but world history as well. And most of the people who perished were civilians, but there were 343 firefighters who died, and 71 law enforcement officers who died as well. And on the ground in New York City, and when the Twin Towers collapsed, it was like a big cloud of smoke. People were running away, like people were filming, had to drop their cameras and go. And this is from Wikipedia, by the way. I'm reading this, so just crediting my sources there. It was like a big cloud of smoke. I mean, like running away from like when it collapsed. It's just. And like how long the fire burned and stuff like that, because it was so hot. And like you wait, and then the year after this, we watched a documentary that was on A&E that my history teacher recorded, and it was with the survivors and stuff like that. And like the people who were in the South Tower, like one guy was afraid of another attack happening, and he was going to leave and get out of the building. But one of his workers convinced him to go back up, and lo and behold, the plane hit the South Tower, and that guy who was wanted to go down, he was the only one who survived on that floor. So he got he's lucky and stuff. Excuse me. And then after this happened, security was tightened at airports and stuff like that too. It's like this is the reason why we have to take our coats off and stuff, and belts and stuff, and airport security. And the South Tower was more damaged than like the North Tower. Like the South Tower almost like the top half almost got ripped off, because like the plane hit it from an angle, and it almost looked like it was going to rip the whole top off. And that's why it collapsed first. And as of this record right now, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be putting video clips or anything like that in this, but I don't want to traumatize people even more than what they were when this happened. But there were people who were scared of dying, that I remember this one man woman jumped out a window because they knew they were gonna die because there was no way out, so they decided to die together by jumping out the window, and and yet there was no other way. I mean, like, if that was me, like, I don't know how I'd be able to handle getting burned up and stuff. And like, when I heard that like it was gone, I thought it meant it was gone and like they were all burned out and the fire was out. But no, it wasn't like that at all. And it was scary. It was really scary. And I don't know. I mean, it's like there were even 372 foreign nationals who died as well. 12%, who represented more than 12% of the total number of deaths in the attacks. Who almost half of them were British, Dominican, Indian, and South Korean, and yeah, it's like that's how sad it was. It didn't just affect Americans. This was a worldwide effect. It was a worldwide effect. I mean, no matter how many years go by, nobody will ever forget it. Sure, people have sure like people don't make as big of a deal as they did back then. But like, it's still a big deal to tons of people. No matter who you are, you're always gonna remember 9/11. If somebody clearly says they forget 9/11, they're just kidding themselves. They're just saying that to hide the fact that they're scared and are still saddened by 9/11. And I honestly, I'm one of those people who still remembers that day and always will. And even though I don't live in New York, this thing will always have an effect on everybody who was in New York, everybody who saw this on the news, everybody who saw the collapse of the towers at New York or on the news, even the people even those loved ones who lost their loved ones in the crashes and stuff. It's always going to affect them, no matter how many years goes by. Hell, 100 years from now, 9/11 will, of course, like, even 100 years from now, there'll be a 9/11 anniversary or something like that to remember all those people who died. It doesn't matter who you are. 9/11 will always be a memory in the United States, North America, South America, Europe, no matter where you are. 9/11 will always be a memory. You got anything else to say?
Nope.
Well, I'll
cover everything.
Well, I'll end with this. To all of you who lost a loved one on 9/11, and to all of you who passed away on 9/11 and are now in heaven with God and Jesus and such, I just want you to know, to all the people who lost loved ones, I am sorry to hear for it. I'm sorry to what happened to your losses. I'm sure the people who died loved you all and cared about you all so much. And the people who are up in heaven, I just want to say that even though we don't know you, we just want to say, especially to the firefighters and all the police officers and everyone, you guys died heroes. You guys died as brave people. And the innocent civilians who died, you guys all rest in peace, and I hope you guys are still rest in peace up there in heaven with God and Jesus. You guys are here. Everyone is a hero in this. Even the innocent civilians are heroes too, because they went through something. They went through something horrible, and they died strong. And I don't know what I don't know what else to say to the fact that rest in peace to everyone who died, and rest in peace to everyone who was on the planes who died too. Rest in peace to everyone. And
Amen.
Amen too. But before we end this, since we are honoring all those people who died, let's have a vow of silence for all those people, starting now. And that's pretty much all I gotta say. This is Tony, aka TTBurger, with James Farina. Peace out, and hope y'all have a great day, and stay strong. No matter what happens, stay strong. And I'll say this one more time. Rest in peace to everyone who died on 9/11.